Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine.
Joe, do you have any idea what Tucker Carlson is doing in Moscow?
I'm glad you asked that, Bob.
Joe. Little fucking Joe Lindsley.
Joe Lindsley is quickly becoming an American treasure in broadcasting.
Welcome to Ukraine.
Well, the telephone rang and it jumped off the wall. President Biden making his call. Zelensky said, thanks, but we don't need that right now. We'd sure take some NATO boys up in the sky, singing so long. It's been good to know you so long. It's been good to know you will.
Some music from Ukraine. Joseph Lindsley sent us this little bit here. You want to explain, Joe?
Bob, good afternoon from Kyiv. I'm talking to you from the studios of Ukrainska Pravda, Ukrainian Truth, independent media founded in the year 2000. And I was just recording a podcast with an American musician to whom we're listening right now, Benya Stewart. And he is from Ohio and was inspired to come here to Ukraine to help in any way he could. He and his musical partner, Brett Hill, they've raised a lot of money in the U.S. They come here, they play concerts to the front lines, and to inspire people. They've also dug deep into Ukrainian folk tradition to learn the ancient songs of the Ukrainian people. And this song is called Mighty Big War, and it's Benya's version of an old Woody Guthrie song. Woody Guthrie, a great American folk musician, and he made great protest songs, and he went to fight in World War II, and he wrote a song about fighting the Nazis. So long, it's been good to know you. I got to go fight, basically, and then we'll all get together again in the time of victory. And so Benya wrote this song, as we heard in those lyrics, even singing about President Zelensky saying, "I don't need a ride, I need ammunition." And I wanted to share with you all, because I just had this interview with our Land of the Free podcast here with Ukrainska Pravda, but it shows the role of music. We talk so often about how Ukrainians love music, but the role of music both in telling the story of the war, but also in inspiring people in the darkest times. And I think I know there's tough times around the world, including in the U.S. And as we approach the second anniversary of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, and Bob, you and I have been talking almost every single day of that for almost 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people that are tired, including here. And it's difficult. It's difficult at the high levels too. I mean, we still don't know how it's going to shake out with, the Ukraine's commander-in-chief, General Zaluzhny, and President Zelensky. Clearly there's some kind of conflict, and that, that there's a lot of people maneuvering to figure out what, to decide what's going to happen there. And it's, I was speaking yesterday with an old friend here in Ukraine, who's an entrepreneur, trying to keep his business going, dealing with clients around the world. And there's a lot of difficulties. It's, difficult to move goods. It's difficult to move money. And then my friend who I met with yesterday told me that his brother, his younger brother in Lviv, was walking the streets near his house and was kidnapped by this unit, this strange unit of the government that takes people into conscription. And by all accounts, they're not doing it by the book. There's a lot of growing anger in society about that. I know several other people that have been rounded up. I know there was a chef and a baker in Lviv, and he was teaching people how to make bread in a different city in Ukraine. And this unit called Veskomat, it's a vestige of the Soviet times, took him, and he wasn't even allowed to go home. He was sent directly to the training camp, and now he's a sniper. He, like many Ukrainians, your time of conscription might arrive, and so they don't complain about it. But the question that many people here are saying, some of these current actions are not sustainable, I think, and so this is what's going on behind the scenes when we look at the arguments between President Zelensky and the commander-in-chief. But I think it'd be very easy, Russian propaganda, of course, is trying to paint this as, oh, Ukraine is collapsing, and then some people are running with that narrative. But actually, it's a democracy that is trying to figure these things out. And, anyone faced with an existential threat, whether it's to your health or to your country, you have difficult questions you have to address. That's what's happening here right now. It's not easy and it's very difficult. Certainly, the music and the things people do to keep going really helps a lot. And but when I started that interview with my friend Benya from Ohio, he said, I want to play this song so long. It's been good to know you. And I've been hearing so much bad news, the past couple of days. I said, I don't know if I want to hear that song today. But in a strange way, it did inspire me. So I wanted to share it with you all.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Joe, do you have any idea what Tucker Carlson is doing in Moscow?
I'm glad you asked that, Bob. I think I should say, when I was protege to the chairman of Fox News, Roger Ailes, Rupert Murdoch's sort of consigliere found me when I was 22 years old or so, working at the Weekly Standard. It was a whole other story. And I became protege to the chairman and founder of Fox, a guy, Roger Ailes, who helped get Nixon elected and H.W. Bush elected. And in that context, I got to know Tucker Carlson. At the time, he was at MSNBC. And Tucker also started his career at the Weekly Standard. So we're sort of in the same circles, and I knew him. And I thought he was someone I could trust. And the day I escaped Fox News, I escaped in a car chase, as we've talked about, but it was like leaving the mafia. I said I quit. They said, you can't quit because you know all of our secrets, or a lot of our secrets. And so they chased me in a car chase to the Hudson Valley. And I went down to Washington, not a good place to go hide. I don't know why, but I went from New York to Washington. And one of the first people I met with was Tucker Carlson. And I thought he's a smart guy. I thought I could kind of confide in him. And I told him a lot about what I was escaping and why, things I would never tell the media. And he was at MSNBC, and 2 or 3 days later, he had a job at Fox News. That's when he got his show at Fox.
Wow.
And I never heard from him again. So I don't trust him. And I think now I'm willing to tell this story. He's someone who would sell out principle and idea and friendship for what he perceives as a personal gain. And when I saw the photo that emerged over the weekend of Tucker Carlson at the, by the way, I have another name for him that I can't say on radio that rhymes with Tucker. But when I saw him at the ballet in Moscow, he's someone who, he used to believe in this idea of freedom. And so many people who listen to Tucker Carlson, they believe in the idea of freedom and they don't trust what they're being told. And that's good to be skeptical and to ask questions. But now he's in one of the least free societies in the world. And so I hope somehow, as I saw that picture of him at the Bolshoi, the ballet in Moscow, that maybe that'll wake him up and he'll say, wait a second, this is a horrible society. What am I doing promoting this society? I hope so. But at the very least, I hope that people that listen to Tucker Carlson will realize that he's not an advocate for freedom at all. He's an advocate for a regime that seeks to unleash hell upon the world.
Interesting. Gee, it's baffling what your name for him is. Well, we'll try to figure that out in the next 24 hours before we talk again. And by the way, if you want to see the story, it's the Hollywood version, but you get the gist of it. The story of Joseph Lindsley, his background that he just alluded to. Check out The Loudest Voice. You can probably find it on some stream somewhere. The movie with Russell Crowe as Roger Ailes, The Loudest Voice. Thanks for taking us behind the headlines and giving us your perspective, Joseph. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks to my friend Benya Stewart from Ohio for that song, Mighty Long War. Until tomorrow, Bob, thank you.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?